My name is Joe Dalton, entrepreneur and business coach. Welcome to Breakthrough Brands. Each week we bring you an inspirational story and an insight to the minds of some of the top business leaders, authors and mentors from around the globe. Whatever is needed to make you shine in life and business, you'll find it here. Over the years, I've had the pleasure to interview hundreds of people on my business shows, Breakthrough Brands and Business Eye. In doing so, I've put together my top 10 tips that I've picked up from my guests along the way. To discover what these are and how they may benefit you in your business, please click on the link below or go to joedalton.ie/discover.
On this week's show, we have Daniel Priestley. Daniel started out as an entrepreneur at age 21 and built a multi-million-dollar event, marketing and management business before the age of 25. A successful entrepreneur and international speaker, Daniel is connected to some of the world's most known and celebrated leaders. With the passion for global small business, Daniel is also the author of 4 best-selling books.
Oh, Daniel, I have to say I'm delighted to have you on the show.
There we go. Wow. Well, you've had some great guests on your show, so I'm...
Tell us the story. Where did it all happen for yourself? I know that you made some changes, and from those changes, your business grew substantially. Tell the audience where it all started.
Well, I guess my first kind of proper experience was working under a mentor from 19 to 21, where we ran non-stop marketing campaigns for 2 years. And very much performance-driven marketing, lead generation marketing, using newspaper advertising. And then those leads would go to a call center sales team who would convert them. So very, very fast feedback loops. In that space, we had the ability to kind of know within a week whether we'd made smart decisions and make changes before the next week. That sounds slow today. Today you kind of make decisions within days because of digital, but at the time, we were pretty much on the razor's edge doing newspaper advertising and lead generation at that particular time. So I had 2 years working with a mentor. I was employee number 3 in that company, and it grew to about 60 employees within 2 years. And I kind of got the opportunity to work very closely with the founder. I then went off and started my own company at 21, doing very much the same sort of thing. And grew that into a multi-million-dollar business in Australia very, very quickly. So it was kind of monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
And lots and lots of marketing experiments. By the time I was 24, 25, we were spending about $250,000 a month on newspaper advertising. And, we're just basically tracking and measuring everything with booking codes. This is before digital. So you actually gave people a code in the ad that they had to quote when they booked through the toll-free number. So that was kind of my grounding. That was my beginnings.
What made you fall in love with marketing? Like for me, it's, sales and marketing. I just, I'm watching, reading something every week. I just love it. What's your passion behind it?
Several passions. I probably have a deeper passion for entrepreneurship in general. I love the idea of getting a great product to market. For me, it's always been about a belief in the product and discovering something that I think more people should know about. And kind of from that desire for more people to know about something, it springs forth an enjoyment of marketing. It's that kind of being the person who has the power to either get something noticed or let it go under the radar. So for me, it kind of springs from the product. I have to believe in the product. I have to get excited by the product. I have to feel like I've stumbled on something that more people need to know about.
It is. It's all about the passion. It's understanding what it is and the belief in it as well. I think that's probably about 80%. For something
if I believe in something, I can market it. If I don't, I just don't. I don't have a magic wand that I can just market anything. In actual fact, I'm even quite worse than that. That if I don't believe in something, I'll probably be the first one to talk people out of it. So I'm probably good at anti-marketing if I don't have the belief. I shouldn't be near anything that I'm not completely sold on myself.
Yes, yeah, you'll be a yardstick for the next Dragon's Den.
Indeed.
One of the things that you specialise in, and reading your book as well, is oversubscribed. And a lot of people are doing events, and you go on to Eventbrite today and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Are more and more people trying to do events now than before, or is it just because we have software to help people to do it that we're just noticing more of them?
Well, we're definitely noticing more because they're all displayed in one particular place.
Yeah.
But back in 1990s, there were still hundreds and hundreds of hotels in every single city that had full conference rooms every year. But you just didn't know. You didn't really know that it was all going on if you weren't on the invite list. Today we see people running webinars, we see people doing Facebook Live events, we see people creating live physical meetups and different conferences and events, and also the barriers to entries have dropped. So you can run a small event, maybe 40 or 50 people, and you've got state-of-the-art software for people to book a ticket. You've got great tools to hone in on a micro niche through Facebook and market to exactly the right people. When I first started advertising, a typical ad that we would run in the newspaper was $7,000. And our target audience within the broader context of that newspaper, if we were lucky, might have been 10%. So $700 worth of that $7,000 was spent on actual marketing, and $6,300 was spent on just a wasted, purchase of eyeballs that were never going to be interested in what we had to offer. But that was the only game in town at that point. But what's beautiful about today's marketing is that rather than spending $7,000, you get the exact same. If you're targeted, you get the exact same response from $700 because you're not wasting the other $6,300 on eyeballs that will never be interested.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like I was speaking to one or two hotels, and I was asking them about their conference rooms, and they says, yeah, they're busy, but they said they get more people booking and then pulling out. The cancellation is 24 hours or 48 hours beforehand. They get a lot of that as well. Mm-hmm. And it's not because the person they're not good at what they're doing. It's because they didn't get the numbers to fill the room.
Yeah, exactly.
Thinking on that, what should people do? What tips would you give someone who's looking to run an event and want to try and get 50 to 100 people in it?
Yeah, so we address this in the book, Oversubscribed, quite a bit, and it's we break the campaign process down to a set of stages. So the first stage is planning and making sure that you actually have lots and lots of content and ideas, and that you're very clear about the value proposition, and that you're basically planning an entire timeline in the lead up to the event. The second phase is called build up, and build up is all about collecting signals, not sales. It's building energy into the sale. Now, here's what most people do. Let's say there's an event and you've got 2 speakers or 3 speakers, and it's in 6 weeks' time let's call it at the Hilton in London. So what most people would do is they would email their list and say, we're running an event at the Hilton in London with these 2 speakers, and here's the tickets. And then they go, okay, where's all the sales? Where's the, and instead of selling tickets, they hear crickets. So it's not, it doesn't work. What we would do is break that into several messages. So we would say, we're going to be running an event on this topic on this particular date. If you're interested to know more about that topic, let us know, and we'll send you a PDF about why we chose that topic and some of the key data and statistics and research that you'd want to know about that particular topic. Email us and we'll send you through some more information about that topic. Now, what we're doing there is collecting signals of who's interested in the topic. And then the next thing we'd be doing is saying, we've just secured one of the speakers. This is the speaker, and we just wanted to let you know that this person, has done all of these things. We'd do a second announcement for the second speaker. We'd then confirm the venue on another announcement. And all the way through, we'd be saying, let us know if you'd like the run sheet for the event. Let us know if you would like to discuss different, seating options or group discounts. We've got some content from this particular speaker. Email our office and we will we'll send you a free PDF of the summary notes from their last presentation, something like that. Yeah. So what we're actually doing is we're signal collecting. So we collect signals. And with signals, you can very easily convert signals into sales. But here's the problem. When you ask for a sale, someone has to have 100% readiness in order to go ahead and buy something online, especially. So let's say someone is only 90% sure that they want to go to the event and you're asking them to buy a ticket. And they go, I'm 90% sure there's a date clash, there's something else happening in my diary, et cetera, et cetera. If they're only 90% sure, they're not going to buy a ticket. So if you give people a binary option, the answer is no. Now, in contrast, if you said, if you're interested in this topic, drop us an email and we'll send you some information, some PDFs or a recording of this speaker, from one of their previous events. Now, if someone's 90% interested, they're absolutely sending through a signal, and you're now aware of their interest. So a big part of the build-up phase is signal collecting rather than trying to get sales. And then as the campaign progresses, it's a switch from signal collecting to signal converting, making sure that people convert. So one of the most powerful ways to convert signals into sales is to be oversubscribed. So for example, let's say an event has 50 tickets available, and you have 300 people or 250 people who have signaled interest in the event. If you go back to your list and all the people who signal interest and say, thank you very much for letting us know that you wanted to be at the event, the tickets will go on sale tomorrow. Over 250 people have signaled interest, but there's only 50 tickets. Please grab yourself a ticket tomorrow if you really certainly want to be there. That creates such urgency that people go, I don't want to miss out on this. 250 people have signaled and I'm one of them. And 1 in 5 people will get a ticket and 4 out of 5 will miss out. So that's a very powerful strategy to genuinely be oversubscribed, so that the tickets sell out very quickly.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people, if you don't put urgency on it or impending doom, they will wait till the very last minute. And,
of course.
And then we'll see if we can get a ticket and it'll pop up tomorrow. But you're creating that desire beforehand, curiosity, desire, impending doom, which is very powerful.
Yeah, and people, of course, my preference, if I could, would be to turn up at the airport and get the cheapest ticket possible on the day that I want to fly.
Good analogy.
And and I would love to just be able to walk up to the counter and say, I just want to check in. I definitely know that I want to fly in the next hour or so. So here's my credit card and give me the best deal. That would be my absolute perfect scenario, but that really would not work for airlines. They don't know whether their planes are full or not. So the airlines figured out a long time ago that they give you the cheaper deal the earlier you book, and then it goes up and up and up every single day. And if you don't book in it far enough in advance, you probably miss out on the flight.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So they've trained their marketplace to know what to expect. We've trained people who are our clients to know and expect that our events genuinely fill up and book out fast. So, we've got people contacting the office this week saying, I really, really want to get a ticket to that event that's at the end of the month. And, our office have to politely decline and say, I'm really sorry, that event filled up 2 weeks ago and there's just no more tickets left. And they go, but I'm one of your best clients. And we go, I know, we're really, really, really sorry, but, our events do just fill up in advance. And because people miss out the next time, they book as soon as they see the email come in.
What's the best lead time from start to running the event? Is it, some people say I've asked around for this and they've said 3 weeks. Some people say 6 weeks. Some people say 9 weeks.
I would say a 12-week. 12 weeks to 12 months is a good idea. one of the things that I'm a big fan of is planning out your next 12 months in advance and doing that with plenty of time before that 12 months starts. So, having a yearly planner of the big campaigns and events that you want to run throughout the next year, I mean, now would be a good time to start planning out 2019. We've been doing that. In fact, we're planned out right through into 2020. And give yourself plenty of time. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having more time than you need. So when you've got plenty of time, like for example, there's a big event that we're going to run at the end of 2019, and it's going to be themed around the concept of having a big 2020s, having a roaring 2020s. And what's really nice is that we know this event's going to happen in a year. We're collecting news articles, blogs, data, information that all relates to that. There's no urgency on our part in selling tickets or filling it or any of that sort of stuff. So at the moment, we're just in planning phase, looking for the right narrative, looking for the right influencers, the right speakers, the right affiliates, all of those things. We got no rush whatsoever. Because we know that's going to happen in 12 months' time. We will, throughout the next 12 months, on a few of our email correspondences, we'll be letting people know, by the way, there's a big event coming up at the end of the year about preparing for the 2020s. If that's of interest, signal your interest, and we'll put you on the early bird ticket list. So with plenty of time comes plenty of options. I'm a big fan of being well and truly planned out a year in advance.
And that's why you're successful.
It means that I'm not terribly smart. I've just got more time up my sleeve.
More time. There's a lot of noise out there as well at the moment, and everyone, there's an opinion with, inbound marketing and everything, pulling through, and the likes of, email automation systems. And are people still interested in signing up for ebooks, or are they, white papers or whatever? Or is there a new tactic as well going out, which is more outbound emailing?
Well, I think the number one tactic that everyone should. There's a few things I'll say on this. The number one tactic is to genuinely have something interesting to say and have insight. So there are people I know who have very interesting insights and data and research and commentary. And if they put that in an ebook or a blog or a podcast or a video, people are going to flock to it because they want to learn those insights, and the content's good, and therefore people will opt into it. There are people I know who kind of, hire a $20 an hour content creator off of a freelancer website to create some nonsense. They package it up into a fairly ordinary looking little ebook, and then wonder why no one's terribly interested in giving away their primary email address in order to get it. And and they're thinking in terms of the skeleton, not thinking in terms of the heart. And you need to have something that's got heart behind it. You've got to have something that's really, interesting to your marketplace. So, that's one of the first things I'd look at. The next thing I'd look at is you don't want to do anything to dehumanize the process. So eliminate words like funnels, eliminate words like tripwires, eliminate words like, sequencing, just stuff where if you wouldn't talk about your grandmother that way, or if you wouldn't talk about a dear friend that way, you wouldn't want someone else funneling your mother into
hacking them to death.
Yeah, hacking them or tripwiring them. You wouldn't want to be talking about a loved one in those terms. So why talk about the very people who are going to pay your bills, which is your clients, your customers, in those terms? Marketing is about an intimate connection. It's about connecting with someone. So if you're using language that puts barriers in between that connection, you're actually training your own brain to dehumanize these people and to think of them as numbers. And the more you think about people as numbers, the more they feel like they're being treated as a number, and the less likely they are to connect with you. So a better mindset is to take a group of people on a journey with you, to be really focused on how am I moving people through the times that we're in, how am I taking people on a journey, how am I helping people to transform something that they want transformed, and to really figure that out first and then put the systems in behind that in order So, to consider transformation first and then systemize it and automate it out of a place of efficiency and out of a place of service rather than out of a place of I want some passive income trickling in every day.
It's like I think people can overcomplicate it. And they're trying to think of ways that they can connect and trick people into giving their first name or their data. And in saying that, I think copy is king. I've come to realise you can build. We all build beautiful landing pages and we can create wonderful images. But I think the copy is where
it's people want good content and it's that idea that the person writing it actually cares, that they care about this topic, they care about this issue. You can tell when you read something by someone who cares, and there's passion behind it, and there's a real urgency or a desire for people to understand what's going on. So I think that even the term copy could be misconstrued as having clever copy or having clever words, using tricks of language. But I think behind good copy is a really deep caring, that you care passionately about a particular topic, and then the copy flows from that. The other thing too is I don't want to go too far away from tactics. There are certain tactics that are also very powerful and should be used, because of the times that we're in. So, for example, one of the phenomenal tactics that we've been using recently is some of the Facebook advertising tools, where you don't really need anyone to opt into anything, and you can take them on a journey just using the tools, and it doesn't require any opt-in. So, for example, recently in a campaign, we boosted a video to about 250,000 people on Facebook. So that video was boosted to 250,000 people, and it might have cost £1,500. But then the Facebook tools allowed us to see who had watched 90% of that video. And the video was recorded in such a way that if you were to watch 90% of that video, it means you're really interested, that you're really fascinated by that topic. No one sits on Facebook watching a video when you can just move your thumb 1 or 2 centimeters and be on a completely new piece of content. No one sits there watching something that they're not interested in. So, and a 90-second piece of content that someone's watching 80 seconds of is a piece of content that they're really interested in. So what we then did is we then set up an entire set of videos that ran deep with that concept. So the only people who saw that set of videos were the people who had watched 90% of video 1. So if they watched 90% of video 1, then they start seeing 5 or 6 new videos in their feed each few days, which took them on a journey and took them into some depth around that particular topic. And sure enough, the engagement that we got off that was huge. So out of 250,000 people who watched it, something like 10 to 15,000 people watched 90%. And then out of those 10 to 15,000 people, we got hundreds of leads at a very low cost per lead, because we'd filtered first, then we'd built a relationship, run deep, and then we had asked, for a connection, some sort of call to action. So I'm not against using tools, and I'm not against using techniques.
Over the years, I've had the pleasure to interview hundreds of people on my business shows, Breakthrough Brands and Business Eye. In doing so, I put together my top 10 tips that I've picked up from my guests along the way. To discover what these are and how they may benefit you in your business, please click on the link below or go to joedalton.ie/discover. Talking about Facebook, it's changing. And, a lot of people, what I'll be speaking to, they're not on Facebook as much as they used to be. And they were saying because it's whatever they say, the algorithm, or they're just seeing the same things popping up all the time. And I have friends who are in their 40s who have now just cancelled their account or just removed their app from their phone. Do you think there is a change with Facebook, and is it as strong as ever for a marketeer, or are things changing?
The beauty of something like Facebook is that you only pay for the results that you get. You only pay if someone's watching, connecting, clicking. Facebook is not just Facebook. Facebook is also Instagram and a number of the other properties that they've got. It's funny for most people's business, mine included. If I have a few hundred clients per year, that's me done. I'm, in London, we can probably take about 200 to 250 clients per year across all of our main stuff. And I don't need millions and millions and millions or billions of people to be interested in my stuff. I actually only need a very small number of people. So it would have to be a pretty dire day. When Facebook goes out of fashion, it's probably because only 45 million people in the UK logged in that day.
Yeah.
You hear about someone who deleted it off their phone. Look, when someone deletes Facebook app off their phone, they tell all their friends, "Oh, look, I'm off Facebook. I'm not Facebooking anymore." And what they don't tell you is that a week later they put it back on their phone.
Yeah.
They're having a big song and dance about the fact that they managed to do a week without Facebook. That's what makes it newsworthy. The reality is that the numbers don't lie. Facebook still has. Here's the numbers that are really interesting. The average person in the UK spends 251 minutes a day on their phone.
Yeah. We run our businesses from our phones.
Sorry. I exaggerated that. The average person in the UK spends 2 hours and 51 minutes on their phone, not 251 minutes, 2 hours and 51 minutes, just under 3 hours on their phone. That's every single day. That's 7 days a week. They pick up their phone on average 76 times per day. So we have this screen glued to our hand. And most of that time that we're spending, just flicking through stuff it's either going to be your emails, which is harder and harder to end up in the main box, or it's going to be your Facebook account or Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn perhaps. But ultimately, a lot of people, millions and millions and millions of people who say they're not using Facebook, if you actually go into their phone and have a look at their usage history, they're not using Facebook except for an hour a day.
Yeah, and it's what do we have? We have, is it 70,000 thoughts on a daily basis, and something like 80% of them are negative.
All right, I must
go.
have one of those positive brains.
But what about the likes of competing against with Facebook, like with AdWords and then with LinkedIn as well?
Yeah. So Facebook, what makes Facebook unique is that it has very, very powerful advertising tools. You just simply can't do that video strategy that I just mentioned on any other platform.
No.
LinkedIn has got great organic views. If you post 2 videos a week in LinkedIn, it'll probably give you 3,000 to 5,000 views organically because they want you to put organic content on there. LinkedIn is a lot lower number of people who see stuff, but they're much more valuable for some businesses. So, you'll get a lot more C-suite executive type people on LinkedIn. And AdWords, it's an interesting one. AdWords, you've got 2 types of businesses out there in the world. You've got people who they have their marketplace searching for them. They're actually looking for a plumber. They're looking for a solicitor. So they're searching very specific terms for that. And then you've got people who don't really know they want you until they see you. And some businesses are a combination of both. I'm a big believer in dormant prospects are better than active prospects, to use sort of technical lingo.
Yeah.
So a dormant prospect is someone who doesn't even know they want you, and an active prospect is someone who's currently searching for you. And the problem with active prospects is that if someone's actively looking, they've already formed criteria. They've already probably figured out what is their budget. They've probably already got 2 or 3 other companies that have given them prices, and they're actually shopping around now on price and on feature on commoditized variables. So hence, like for example, if someone's searching for a fitness trainer in their local area, they've probably already established that a fitness trainer is between 45 and 60 pounds per hour. they've probably already established, 5 or 6 qualifications that fitness trainers have. All of that sort of stuff is now fresh in their mind. Now, contrast that. Imagine someone's not looking for a fitness trainer. They're not at all searching for someone at all, but they read a piece of content that says, new dads often put on 2 to 4 kilos of body fat and lose their workout routine sometimes for the rest of their life. Here's how to avoid that. And they start reading a piece of content. They then opt in for some more content. They listen to a podcast, and then they discover that there's an actual certified trainer near their house who does the dad method. And now this person's not looking for a fitness trainer. This person's just purely engaged in this particular type of methodology, this business. And when they get given a package, and maybe that package that they're offered is a £2,500 body transformation package, they're not sitting there going, well, how much does that work out to per hour? They're sitting there going, I really loved the content. I love the methodology. I love the community. I love the approach. And I can afford the £2,500. I'm ready to go. So you're always much better off looking for dormant prospects that you can educate and take on a journey, as opposed to the person who's in the final stages of shopping around.
Yeah, they're the ones that you've already touched them somewhere along the way. Thinking that I need to get to the gym again. My wife was looking at me oddly this morning.
Yeah, that's a sore. I use that example because of myself.
Yeah. We both can relate to that.
Yeah.
As I'm eating a croissant here.
Oh, they're evil, those lovely croissants.
Yeah, they're lovely.
Especially if they're warm with jam.
Oh, yes. And clotted cream as well. To try that with us, yeah.
There we go. Nice. Stop it.
What do you see happening for 2019 in marketing? Is there anything new that you see coming along down the track?
Yeah. It's all new. It's big. It's big. So the 2020s are going to be the decade of total transformation. If we think that the 2010s were strange and fast moving and changing, we've seen nothing compared to what's coming in the 2020s. And there's a few reasons why I say that. Number one, the baby boomers are turning 70 and they're changing their lifestyle. When people turn 70, they stop trying to accumulate wealth and they start to accumulate experiences again. They often sell down their assets, liquidating their assets in order to have more experience or more health. And that's a huge trend. So the baby boomers began turning 70 in 2016, but it's full force. It is a full force phenomenon in the 2020s. So we'll be 4 to 5 years into the baby boomers turning 70 by 2021, and that means that a huge number of boomers are selling down assets in order to gain health and experience. That's one hell of a shift. 2/3 of everything are currently owned, asset-wise, 2/3 of everything's owned by baby boomers. Millennials are then coming through into their 30s, their sometimes mid-30s and early 40s. So the millennials are going to be having families. They're going to be buying houses. They're going to be, or trying to buy houses, in a very difficult time. The millennials have very different mindset. They're in a different level of debt. So you've got that transformation. Then add to that technology. So technology is facilitating globalization, regardless of building physical walls or, changing certain policies. Like, all of that's pretty irrelevant when you've got fast internet connecting people across borders, who can work and collaborate pretty easily, regardless of what policy is or what physical barriers are in the way. The issue is not migrants crossing over the border. The issue is that it's effortless to have an accountant in Bangalore, or it's just as much effort to have someone in Bangalore as it is to have someone in Bristol. It's easy to have your software developers in Bulgaria as opposed to having them in East London. Yeah. So, so that's happening in full force. Add to that, we're kind of at, businesses kind of hit maturity and they really take off at around the 20-year mark, or trends really take off at the 20-year mark. So, television was, a 1930s phenomenon, but we think of it as 1950s phenomenon. I could go through the same with radio and internet and personal computers. It takes about 15, 20 years for it to really rocket ahead. And maybe that time frame's shortened a bit, but we're now, Google's only just turned 20 this year. That's Google. So, we think of Google as being an established brand, but it's actually search technology is only really 20 years old and hasn't really changed the world yet.
It's still a baby, isn't it?
It's still a baby, yeah. Smartphones are 10 years, 10 years old. So as we go into this, we've got this new levels of technology and new levels of automation, new levels of globalization. Currently, the global average income is about $25 a day, $25 a day. So when you put technology into the world that facilitates people working on a pretty flat structure globally, it means that there's a global average that we move towards, which is $25 a day. That means that essentially if you're not special, if you're a commoditized provider, if you're just an average person in the industry, you're now essentially, there's this big magnet sitting out there globally that says, roughly speaking, we're going to magnet your income back to $25 a day. And you can fight it, but that's kind of what the trend is. And that's something that's pretty terrifying for a lot of people. But by the same token, there's also this other magnet, which is if you are special, if you are set up for the times that we're in, if you do have the assets, the digital technologies, the intellectual property, if you've got all of those sorts of things and you're actually doing something that's special, then you have a global audience to play with. You have a new middle class popping up all over the world. And the world's your oyster. So therefore, your income's probably going to go 300, 400, 500% of what it is right now. So you're going to have a vast majority of people in the West whose incomes will be pulled towards $25 a day, and you'll have a large number of people who are very savvy with technology whose incomes will be pulled towards $2,500 a day.
It's uniqueness, isn't it? It's really
it's transformational. It's absolutely transformational times that we're in, and it's only going to get even more weird and wonderful and scary and all of those kind of things.
It is. It's like, even for myself, I'm working on some new packages and we're working on some new products within the mentoring and consulting end, and really sort of looking at leveraging and excited about it, really, and developing it. It's all about, branding and making that product attractive to people, and we're excited about the work that we're doing, and it's stepping above everyone else.
Yeah, and you're probably having an experience at the world's your oyster because of your mindset. If you imagine two people who go jogging, and they jog roughly the same speed, but then one of them discovers a bike and jumps on the bicycle, very rapidly, within a very short space of time, that person is in a completely different geography, a different place than the person who's jogging, and there's no way that person can keep up. And this is the issue with technology right now, that we actually have people who are jumping on the bicycle and they're loving life. They're going, wow, things are easier than ever. I can go faster than ever, and it's less effort than before. And then you also have a lot of people who are jogging as hard as they possibly can, and they're going, well, why can't I keep up? It's like, well, you're not even playing the same game. So, for someone who has the right mindset, you've jumped on the bike and you're loving it. Yeah. But you've also got to, people like yourself and myself, we have to be acutely aware that there are a lot of people who are being displaced by these trends. So we have to be, mindful of that. That's also going to be a big issue of our next 10 years.
Well, that's why Blade Runner springs into mind when we talk about the world economy and AI, and how things are moving. And, a lot of people will be government supported. And that's what you're saying about the 25% or $25 hourly income, which, kind of concerns me in a way. But on the other end, the programs that we're developing, and both of us, is to help other people build their business and build them. And I work with people that can make a difference and that can change the world, and that's the people that I really resonate towards.
Yeah, and the world needs more of those. The world, the world needs leaders.
Yeah,
world needs people. The other thing too is the world needs people who have an entrepreneurial mindset to come up with scalable solutions for the world. We have, broadly speaking, we have about 16 really big problems on the planet. And each of those affects either all of us at an existential level or large swathes of people. Yeah. And the types of solutions that are required have to scale exponentially. And the type of mindset that can scale something exponentially is an entrepreneurial mindset. Recently, this morning, I was looking at Bill Gates's Twitter feed, and he's talking about a new type of toilet that will transform sanitation and the environment in different parts of the world. And he worked with some of the best inventors and entrepreneurs to come up with scalable toilet solutions that can scale all across Africa very quickly, turning human waste into energy and reducing impact and increasing sanitation. And it was just inspiring to see that entrepreneurial mindset had been applied to such a great, worthy cause, worthy idea.
He's doing some great work, isn't he? He really is.
Yeah, I think his second act of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, may even eclipse his first act of Microsoft. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. Hopefully, I mean that's what we need. We need the world's wealthiest people to start giving it away rapidly in order to fix some of the big issues that we face. Humanity's hit what you'd call as an outbreak. We've escaped the limits we've escaped natural limits. And that doesn't end well for other species that have an outbreak. Typically, natural limits bring them back into balance. So we have to have some of the people who have definitely escaped natural limits of the way things are to start figuring ways to make humanity work.
I think there's a big, huge shift as well. More and more people are starting to wake up, and there is an awakening around the world, and you can see it that people are sort of asking those questions, and even a lot of people are sort of looking spiritually at what's going on and seeing if they can make a change.
Yeah, I think characters like Donald Trump and decisions like Brexit, I think although we can see a lot of the negative externalities of people like Trump, one of the very positive things about Trump is that he really has snapped a lot of people out of sleepwalking. He's politically energized young people. The midterm elections had one of the highest levels of voting ever, the highest participation rates of democracy, because people just hate the guy. They hate him. And it's only that level of kind of like, whoa, someone who we do not want to be in power has suddenly got themselves in power. We don't like this guy. He does horrible things like lifts the ban on ivory, that you can now bring elephant tusks back into the USA. You can, he basically plays down the role of climate change.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about that is that, you get a president like Obama, and you think this guy's a fine, upstanding character. I really like this guy. So I'm just going to switch off politically. I'm just going to switch off. I'm going to disengage because I'm sure Obama will take care of everything, and I'm sure he's nice enough and smart enough to represent me, and I'll get on with what I want to do, and hopefully Obama will fix everything that comes along. And the beauty of Trump is he holds up this big mirror that says, actually, if change is going to happen, we're all going to have to get involved in this, because our politicians are probably not going to do what we want them to do.
Yeah, but here's with Trump. I believe Trump is there for a reason, and the reason being that, again, people who had not got into, who were leaving politics, young people now, he has peed them off so much that they will now be the new leaders in a couple of decades.
Yeah,
absolutely. We needed him.
He's politically charging people who would never have been politically charged.
Yeah.
And he's also a big warning sign for Wall Street to basically say, listen, if you create an asset bubble and then you bail that asset bubble out using taxpayer money and Federal Reserve money and create trillions of dollars worth of debt, and no one goes to jail and no one gets punished, you are going to leave tens of millions of people disenfranchised and and left out, and they're going to come back and do something very unpredictable. They're going to, in one way or another, they're going to upset your apple cart. There's checks and balances. So, there's a lot of good stuff there that I think a lot of people, there'll be negative consequences, but there'll be very positive consequences as well.
If you get a chance, listen to the Marianne Williamson show that I did on the podcast there. She has
I'm sure she had an interesting take on it as well.
She did. I'll let you listen to that.
Have a listen.
Daniel, we'll come to the end of the show. I ask all my guests 3 questions, and one of them is the best business advice you have ever received.
Mm-hmm. You want me to answer that one now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the best business advice I ever received was income follows assets, and basically it means that if you want more scale, if you want more income, if you want more money, better talented people, all of that follows assets. In particular, digital assets, intellectual property assets, media assets are the big ones. I used to believe that income followed hustle, and income followed hard work, and income followed getting off the couch and doing stuff. Just getting active. Now I recognise that entrepreneurship is largely about discovering new assets that belong in the marketplace, and that the more you create an ecosystem of wonderful assets, the more your business thrives regardless of what you're doing.
Okay, good. What book would you recommend apart from your own?
That's an easy one. So the book that changes your life the most is the one that you write, not any that you read. And I encourage everyone to write a book, not read more books. I believe that each person listening to this would be standing on a mountain of value, huge insights, great networks, great stories, and those should be written down. Transformational things will happen when you do that. So
yeah.
If you write a book, you're going to discover new insights that you didn't know you had. You're going to discover methodologies and IP. You're going to create something that scales, that gets your message out there. So my message is, I know it's controversial, stop reading so many damn books and start writing one. If you've got time to sit and read, you've probably got time to sit and write. And the book that will, you've read enough books, time to Einstein wrote The Theory of Relativity at age 26. So you've read enough. Go write something.
Yeah, I read a book a week, and I enjoy it. And I am writing a book at the moment as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
And learning everything else. I self-development.
One of the things I do say to my clients a lot is that, and I actually say to them, enough learning. I want you to just get out and do stuff. And if you've got time to learn an e-course, I want you to go create an e-course. If you've got time to listen to a podcast, go record a podcast.
Yeah.
Got time to read a book, go write a book. And that alone, a lot of people who run with that, they go, oh, it's really confronting. But actually, they end up producing a lot.
It's self-doubt, isn't it, really?
Mm.
Tell me, where can people locate you? Where can they buy your many books if they want to reach out and sort of find out how you can help them?
So I've got 4 books. I've got Entrepreneur Revolution, which is about starting a business and having the mindset for business. Key Person of Influence is about positioning yourself as an influencer in your industry. Oversubscribed is about running marketing campaigns and promotions, and 24 Assets is about doing digital transformation and building a scalable business. So all 4 books are obviously on Amazon and Audible and all of that sort of stuff. Each book has a corresponding scorecard that allows you to kind of translate the learning of that into actionable points and actionable insights. So there's the 24 Asset scorecard and the Key Person of Influence scorecard. So my recommendation is to do the scorecards. And then if you do the scorecards, you'll basically be part of our machine that we've built. And you'll get lots of content, and you'll get invited to different events and all of that sort of stuff. And it'll all be based upon how you answer the questions as to what you end up seeing. So we invite people at a very early stage through to certain different events, and then there are certain events that we only invite people to if they're at a later stage in business.
And your website?
You can visit dent.global, or you can visit keypersonofinfluence.com. would be two places to start, 24assets.com. So you can check those out.
Check that out. It's been fascinating talking to you.
I really enjoyed that. We started with some marketing tactic talk and we ended up solving the problems of the world.
That's what it's all about. Over a cup and over a cup of coffee as well, which is good.
Lovely. And a croissant.
And a croissant. What song would you like us to play out with, Daniel? Yeah. For us, it's Baby Shark. I was just about to say that. That's what we're singing at home. Let's
finish out. Let's rock out with a big version of Baby Shark.
Yeah.
For all of the non-parents out there to go, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And then all the parents out there to go, oh no, Baby Shark. It's going to be in my head for the next 2 days.
We have our kids dancing into it on video. It's great.
I've got a 1-year-old who does all the actions.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? It is indeed.
Yeah.
Daniel, thanks for coming on to Breakthrough Brands. It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed the chat, and I look forward to catching up with you sometime and maybe meeting you in London at one of your events, or even one of my events, whichever.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah. Likewise indeed. Excellent. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Daniel. God bless.
Shark, do 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 do, mommy shark. Daddy shark, do 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 do, daddy shark, do 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 do, daddy shark, do 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 do, daddy shark. Grandma shark, do 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 do, grandma shark, do 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 do, grandma shark, do 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 do, grandma shark. Grandpa shark, do 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 do, grandpa shark, do 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 do, grandpa shark, do 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 do, grandpa shark. Let's go hunt, do 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 do. Let's go hunt, do 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 do. Let's go hunt, do 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 do. Let's go hunt. Run away, do 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 do. Run away, do 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 do. Run away, do 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 do. Run away. Safe at last, do 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 do. Safe at last, do 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 do. Safe at last, do 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 do. Safe at last. It's the end, do 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 do. It's the end, do 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 do. It's the end, do 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 do. It's the end.
Over the years, I've had the pleasure to interview hundreds of people on my business shows, Breakthrough Brands and Business Eye. In doing so, I've put together my top 10 tips that I've picked up from my guests along the way. To discover what these are and how they may benefit you in your business, please click on the link below or go to joedalton.ie/discover.